Hello everyone, this is a Notifier NFS-3030 fire alarm control panel. These were first introduced in the early 2000s and were designed for larger facilities. The NFS-3030 is part of the first generation of Onyx panels produced by Notifier, alongside the NFS-640. It's an addressable panel that can have anywhere from 1 to 10 SLC loops, with a maximum capacity of 3,180 addressable points using the flash scan protocol. The NFS-3030 has a similar layout to its predecessor, the AM2020, and like other high-end Notifier panels, it supports agent release, networking, and voice evacuation. The NFS-3030 also supports panel circuit modules, both inputs and outputs, which are inherited from the System 5000 series. So let's jump right into this. This NFS-3030 has been modified to use an NCA2 network control enunciator and a DVC digital voice command. Both of these two components were introduced in the late 2000s. The NCA2 allows for viewing and controlling multiple panels or nodes across a fire alarm network. In this situation, the NCA2 is monitoring the NFS-3030 and the DVC, which are both separate nodes on the network. The DVC is an audio command center that provides audio and voice communication options to a fire alarm system. This includes microphone paging and firefighters' telephones. Unlike the older AMG1, which communicates directly to a panel over RS-485 communications, the DVC communicates over the network. Therefore, multiple panels can control the DVC across a network system. The DVC can also be used standalone on the NFS-2640 or NFS-3030. For this panel, the DVC is connected to the 3030 over the network, with the NCA2 providing status and system control. For this demonstration, we have an MBG12L pole station, a blue point pole station, a red button, a system sensor SCP-SPSW speaker strobe with both clear and amber lens strobes, a system sensor I3 2W-B, and a system sensor CO1224 carbon monoxide detector. The NFS-3030 is programmed to play a different message on the DVC depending on which device is activated. The MBG12L and the I3 will play a fire evac message. The blue point pole station will play a generic evacuation message. This red button will play a weather message, and the carbon monoxide sensor will sound the temporal 4 tone over the speakers. All initiating devices on this system are conventional, and besides the blue point pole station, they are all connected to the IZM8RK initiating zone module. The blue point pole station is connected to an addressable mini module inside the panel. So let's begin with the fire alarm portion of the system.
May I have your attention, please? May I have your attention, please? The fire alarm has been activated in the building. The fire alarm has been activated in the building. Please proceed to the nearest exit and leave the building. May I have your attention, please? May I have your attention, please? The fire alarm has been activated in the building. The fire alarm has been activated in the building. Please proceed to the nearest exit and leave the building.
Silence the system from the NCA2. With the large display, you get a detailed account of the alarm. Fire Zone 2, System Alarm, Zone 1, the device type pole station, the timestamp, and then the address. So node 2 is the NFS-3030, and then panel circuit 1, this module, point 2, as shown on the IZM8RK. On the DVC, the fire alarm evac message was playing, and its LED was lit when it was active. DVC also enunciates all the signal circuits that are active. In this case, these are all strobes, as well as the speaker circuits, which are on the amplifier down in this bay. It also indicates which zones were an alarm, in this case the fire alarm zone. Now let's realign the system with the I3.
Attention, please. May I have your attention, please? The fire alarm has been activated in the building. The fire alarm has been activated in the building. Please proceed to the nearest exit and leave the building. May I have your attention, please? May I have your attention, please? The fire alarm has been activated in the building. The fire alarm has been activated in the building. Please proceed to the nearest exit and leave the building.
Silenced again. This time it's Fire Zone 3 and smoke detector. Click more information. This provides pretty much the same information. With an adjustable detector, there'll be a lot more data here. It just goes through all the status, the zone label, and the software zones that this point is connected to. The pulse station is reset and the smoke detector should be aired out now, so we can reset the system. Reset is instant. It'll take a few seconds for the devices to come back online on the SLC loop, but otherwise the system is normal. Now for the non-fire portion of the system, we'll start with the blue point pulse station.
Attention, attention, attention. An emergency has been reported. All occupants walk to the nearest exit and evacuate the building immediately. Do not use the elevator. Walk to the nearest stairway. Do not use the elevator. Walk to the nearest stairway.
Silence that. On the NCA2, we have a security alarm display. Zone 2, point type is security latching. And the address is node 2, loop 2, module 1, which is the mini module inside the panel. The amber strobe was powered by the ICM4 signal module with the security signals circuit. Meanwhile, on the DVC, the general evac message was playing, the same speaker circuit's activated, and now the priority 2 alarm zone is active. Now let's simulate a weather alert by pressing this button.
May I have your attention, please? May I have your attention, please? A tornado warning has been issued for this area. A tornado warning has been issued for this area. Please take all appropriate safety actions at this time. May I have your attention, please? May I have your attention, please? A tornado warning has been issued for this area. A tornado warning has been issued for this area. Please take all appropriate safety actions at this time. May I have your attention, please? May I have your attention, please? A tornado warning has been issued for this area. A tornado warning has been issued for this area. Please take all appropriate safety actions at this time.
So that was the weather alert message. Shows on the NCA2. It's a latching supervisory type. And unlike the fire and general evac messages, the weather alert message only plays 3 times, and that's it. On here, zone 7 is the weather alert zone on the ICM8, and on the ICM4, the weather signal circuit is now active, although nothing is connected to it. You can silence that. And let's reset the system. And the system is back to normal. Last is the carbon monoxide detector. She'll just activate with the test button. So there was the carbon monoxide alarm. It showed an alarm on zone 8. Carbon monoxide alarm signal circuit was activated, and the DVC played the carbon monoxide alarm tone. The carbon monoxide alarm is considered an other event and is non-latching, so once the detector went back to normal, the system cleared it automatically. But we can recall it through the history display. There it is. This is the cleared event, carbon monoxide on zone 3. It's a fire control type, although carbon monoxide can always be generated through other means outside of fire. Timestamp and then the address. Node 2, panel circuit 1.8. The NFS-3030 and other Onyx panels use the CAP4 series enclosure. These are the same as the CAP3 series used by the AFP panels, just with a different color scheme and some minor alterations. This NFS-3030 is in a C-size cabinet, and for nomenclature, the back box is the SBBC4, the door is DRC4. This is a DP DISP dress panel for the top row, a DPA1 for the DVC, a DP1B blank dress panel, and there's an amplifier back there, and finally the BP2-4 battery dress panel. And opening this dress panel, you see the back of the NCA2. It's got a couple of terminal blocks on the top. This is for RS-232 peripherals, terminal mode enunciators, ACS enunciators, security relay, supervisory, trouble, and alarm relays. The security and supervisory relays can also be alarm relays if desired. These wires here are the NUP cables to the network control module for the NCA, which sits back there. There's also a small pair of wires back here to provide power. Inside the back box, this is the NFS-3030 CPU, the main board for the entire panel, and it's mounted on a CHS M3 chassis. The CHS M3 holds a lot of different components, including the CPU. There's space for extra modules in the back. In this case, both of these are NCM network modules. There's also space for some loop cards back there, and some space up front for panel circuit modules. Behind this mess of wires, there's more space. This could be for additional loop cards or communications cards like the UDAC and TM4 transmitter modules. There's a few terminal blocks on the 3030 CPU. Have the alarm, trouble, supervisory, and security relays like the NCA2. The supervisory and security relays can be converted to alarm relays with these red switches here. Terminal block for ACS enunciators. Another terminal block for RDP enunciators like the LCD160. This terminal block back here is an RS-232 interface for PCs, printers, and CRT monitors. It's partially covered by this ribbon cable that connects to the LCM320 loop control module, and on top of that is the LEM320 loop expander module. And these add 2 SLC loops to the NFS-3030. There's a NUT port here for connecting the panel to a PC or for connecting to a network card. There's a couple of ribbon cable connectors back here. These are for connecting to panel circuit modules like this IZM8 and ICM4 modules. And the NFS-3030 can support up to 3 rows of panel circuit modules. This connector here goes to the AMPS-24 power supply. There's one terminal block here for aux power. And right here is the RAM battery for storing the panel's configuration. The connectors here and here are for a standalone LCD keypad display for the NFS-3030, although this CPU does not have one. All the Onyx panels can operate without a display, in which case they are usually controlled by a network control enunciator like the NCA2 or some other network command center like the OnyxWorks PC interface. The NFS-3030 can be programmed from the front panel if there is a keypad display on the CPU. If not, then the only way to program this panel is through the Verifier tool software. Here's the IZM8RK initiating zone module. It has 8 conventional inputs, and these are powered, so 2-wire smoke detectors can be used on these. The buttons don't really do anything for this particular module. And these were originally used with the System 5000, however on the NFS-3030 they cannot participate in walk test. Next to that is the ICM4RK indicating circuit module. It has 4 signal circuits up there, and they have their own power source connected here. And next to that is a CRE4 relay expander module, which is installed in the back, and that adds 4 Form C relays to this card. And for this system, the relay card just has some test switches. So each of these switches, as you press the button, it will activate the corresponding alarm type. On the ICM4 side, pressing any of these buttons will activate the signal circuit. So you press that, and it activates the amber strobe. For displayless NFS-3030s, there's 4 buttons here for local control: acknowledge, signal sounds, reset, and a lamp test. The next row is the DVC. It's mounted to a CA1 chassis. Here's the DVC unit itself. The circuit board lies in the back, and in the front is the DVC KD keypad display. Next to that is the CMIC1 microphone enclosure, and it has a little paging microphone here. There's various terminal blocks on the DVC circuit board. On the left side here, these two terminal blocks are the digital audio ports. These are used to communicate to digital amps and other components on the voice system. Next to that is a push-to-talk terminal block, and down here is the power input. Up top, there's a USB connector here for programming. Some later boards also have a Type A connector. The alarm bus, this can be used to activate the DVC through a NAC input. Some NUP ports here for connecting to network control modules. There is a network card behind the DVC. This switch here disables the piezo. There's a phone jack here for a local firefighter's telephone. Here's a riser for remote firefighters' telephones. Audio aux B input. Remote microphone interface. Aux input A. And then a connector here for a local microphone. There's a few option modules that can be installed on the DVC. There's some fiber modules which convert the digital audio ports from wired to fiber. There's also a DVC AO which provides analog outputs from the DVC itself, which can be used to power analog amplifiers like the AA30, AA120, and AA100. The DVC KD has status indicators and buttons for viewing and controlling the DVC and its components. The right half contains various LED and buttons to enunciate various different options. This column has various voice messages that the DVC can play, and this column enunciates conditions from the NFS-3030, including the signal circuits, speaker circuits from the amplifier, and the software zones. There's some blank slots here. These slide-in labels can be different depending on the system that the DVC is operating, whether it's a simple fire evac system or mass notification system. You have a lamp test. You can also do all call. Get a mic. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. There's a couple of voice messages that could be played manually using the DVC KD. This was all custom programmed into the database. Let's play the all clear message.
Attention, your attention please. The building emergency condition has been cleared. You may return to your normal activities. The building emergency has been cleared. You may return to your normal activities.
Here's a system test message.
The system is being tested. This is only a test. The system is being tested. This is only a test.
There's some alert messages and then some other tones. There are many different types of tones and message segments that could be added to the DVC. So here's panic alarm. You also got some very strange sounding tones, although I believe these are UL listed, so they can be used in a real system. And for this column, these just control various other circuits on the network system. So you press this one, activates the fire strobe. You can activate the speaker circuits individually, and then the zones. The DVC is programmed using the Verifier tool software. This can be used to program system options, add or remove components like remote amplifiers, remote paging units, etc., and creating message segments. The DVC EM, this module, can hold up to 16 minutes of audio, 4 minutes if using the high quality option. The older DVCs are different and have less audio capacity in general. As the DVC is considered its own network node, various other nodes on a fire alarm network can control this system. For this panel, only the NFS-3030 controls the DVC, but in larger systems, another panel can always trigger different messages on this system, and this is accomplished by adding logic equations to the DVC's program. In this bottom row is the amplifier. This is a DAA2 7525 amplifier. It provides 75 watts of audio at 25 volts RMS. It's got a CPS24 power supply, and in the back is the amplifier board itself. There's a lot of terminal blocks on the amplifier. So these two up here are the digital audio ports, and these connect to the DVC. And this is how the amplifier gets its audio source and is controlled through the digital audio ports as well. There's some rotary dials there to set the digital audio port address. These amplifiers pretty much communicate to the DVC like annunciators, and each one has its own address. There's a button here for a local signal silence, various LED indicators, firefighter's telephone riser, remote microphone riser, audio aux input, alarm bus, a speaker circuit, and there's 4 speaker circuits on its amp, and they all have resistors on them. There's also backup terminals for each of these circuits as well. On the bottom here, there's 2 connectors, and this is for a backup digital amplifier, which can be mounted onto the DAA2. All programming for the DAA2 is accomplished through the DVC. From here, there are various different system options for the amplifier, whether it's a primary or backup, etc. The speaker circuits can also be configured. On this system, these are just standard speaker circuits. These activate when they are told to by the DVC. These can also be used as audio sources for control modules like the FCM1, or as risers to additional remote amplifiers. On the left side here is a CHS BH1 battery holder. These just hold backup batteries for the amplifier. They can hold up to 12 amp hour batteries, and these are 7 amp hours. And these are being used for the entire system, though in a real system there would be larger batteries, likely in larger enclosures. Finally, in the bottom row is the AMPS-24 adjustable main power supply and the ACPS-610 adjustable auxiliary power supply. The AMPS-24 is the main power supply for the NFS-3030. It communicates back to the panel through the SLC loop. In addition to powering the CPU, it also has auxiliary power taps for additional components. The ACPS-610 has 4 outputs. These can be configured for auxiliary power, non-resettable or resettable, or as signal circuits. For this system, these 3 are signal circuits, and the 4th is a resettable power source for the CO1224. As a signal circuit, they can be configured for either steady output, temporal output, or for strobe synchronized outputs. In this case, system sensor sync for the speaker strobe. Both of these power supplies, as well as the amplifier, have CPS-24s on them, and the CPS-24 has auxiliary power on its own board, 25 volt and 5 volt. The ACPS-610 and AMPS-24 both use the PK-PPS programming software for programming. And these can be used to configure the circuits, enable disable chargers, and set battery sizes, etc. The NCA2 has its own menu interface, so you can check that out. There are several different display views. The event counts display, which shows whenever there's an event, multiple event lists, which can be used to view multiple events, and the graphics screen. There's a history display, as shown in the demonstration, to view either the local history or to view the history on a node, so we can check the NFS-3030's node history, check the alarms, and there's the smoke detector alarm from the demonstration. There's a read status. This can be used to view the status of detectors or modules on any node on the system that the NCA2 is connected to. And lastly is the program alter status. Got to enter the passcode. The default passcodes can be found in the user manual. So here's the Program Alter Status menu from the master user level. Let's start with Alter Status. So you can disable or enable points, view detector sensitivity, clear verification counts. You can do that on node 2, even though there probably isn't any anyway. Clear the counters. Also clear history. Clear all the history on this just to clear the history buffer. And we could do the same for the NFS-3030. There's also network walk test, change time and date. There's also turning control points on and off, and some wireless options. A couple more options here too for fast detectors. Node program allows for limited programming of nodes on the network. Go to node 2 for the NFS-3030. And from here, point labels can be changed or the node label. So this is what the NFS-3030's system normal message is. If it had its own display, it would show that. And that's all that can be done from the NCA2. Any other programming on the NFS-3030 requires using either a built-in display or verifier tools. Next is panel program. This is for programming the NCA2's options. Start with network parameters. Set the node address, node label, network wiring style, the channel thresholds for the network card, and then IP access for any kind of remote download through the internet. Next is network mapping. This sets what nodes are mapped to the NCA2. So there's only 3 nodes on this system. Node 1 is the NCA2, Node 2 is the NFS-3030, and Node 3 is the DVC. And all of these are mapped to this enunciator. There's an auto program option to automatically map anything that the NCA2 sees through the network. Next is panel settings. Local control. If this is off, then the NCA2 can only be controlled from here if it's granted access from a higher node on the network. PAs are on and off, event ordering, display addresses. Go to the reminder menu. You can set trouble reminder, duration, and ring and enunciation. Click more. You have some mass notification options here. There's also regional settings. This affects some basic system options. For instance, setting it to the Singapore region makes the fire drills not list as a trouble, which is interesting. There's also SCS settings for smoke control modules. There's none on this system. Next is panel timers. Set the AC fail delay, silence inhibit, auto silence, and default timers. Next is event monitoring. All these events, fire alarm, trouble, supervisory, security, other, pre-alarm, and disable point, and all of them are being monitored on this NCA2. Next is LCD display. You just set the contrast level, language, and the backlight. There's ACS programming. This is for programming ACS enunciators to the system, like the ACM24AT. Set the enunciator type, and depending on what address is set to. And if there's an enunciator installed, there's point programming for each enunciator. Next up is supervision. This is for supervising various components like the power supply node, which is not set, printer, CRT baud rate, auxiliary trouble reporting, tamper input, and terminal mode for terminal mode enunciators. Click on more. There's password change, event logging. So there's non-fire and output activations which are not logged. And then the remote display menu for any remote displays. For password change, you can change the master and user level passwords. If the passwords were changed on your NCA2 and you are unable to program the panel, a hex code is displayed when the incorrect passcode is entered in the password prompt screen. A software can be used to decrypt that code and get the passcode to the panel, although this is only available to Notifier technicians. The last option is point program. You can program several points on the NCA or anything on the DVC. So if we click Node 3 as a DVC and AMP1, from here you could set group volume and auxiliary volume. You can also pick a regular software zone, and you can just change the label and some other options. Logic zone, and none of these are active on the NCA2. But if they were active, you can put different points on the network to control different logic zones. And an ACS board if there's any enunciators on the system. And that's it for the NFS-3030 and DVC. The NFS-3030 will be discontinued by the late 2000s, being replaced with the NFS-3030. As of recording, the NCA2 and DVC are still in production. As Notifier's flagship panel, the NFS-3030 provides the most in terms of point capacity and a variety of features. In combination with the panel circuit modules, the NFS-3030 could be easily designed to cover a variety of different applications and functions. If you happen to acquire an NFS-3030, these are one of the best Notifier adjustable panels a hobbyist can get. However, unlike the NFS-640, the NFS-3030 is very modular and requires many different parts to be put together. Nonetheless, once it is put together, the NFS-3030 is easy to customize, and unlike high-end panels of other companies, the NFS-3030 can be programmed from the front keypad, with only certain functions like networking and logic equations requiring the Verifier Tools software. In combination with an NCA2 and DVC, the NFS-3030 can be a very powerful fire alarm control panel. In any case, if you have any questions or comments on the NFS-3030, DVC, or NCA2, feel free to post them below. But until next time, have a nice day.